talking on the phone. I can understand texting, you know what I mean, if you're trying to text somebody while you're driving. But talking, I don't know.
Well, I guess they figure, you got to pick up the phone, you got to dial it, which means is your eyes are taken away from the road. And, I mean, I personally understand because of the safety, but exactly what you said, 85% of the time I see people driving around talking on their phone anyway, so. Yeah,
I know. I see it all the time, and producer JMK says it's illegal in New York. I know it's illegal in New York, my man, but you see people doing it all the time. I do it. You know, I don't text while I drive, but I mean, talking on the phone, I don't know. It's one of those stupid laws, you know what I mean? Just one of the laws where cops feel that they have to write a ticket. You know what I mean? You have to write that ticket because you have to reach the quota or whatever they have by the end of the, you know what I mean? No, it's just a easy ticket.
It's all about reaching out and you giving them an excuse to pull you over.
To pull you over and then write you a fine and then get some tax money for the town, you know what I mean? Some court tax money for the town. So whatever. All right, so that was the weekend. We have what about Impact? We don't have any Impact tapings tonight. They taped 3 weeks worth 2 weeks ago. So we're all set on the Impact tapings. SmackDown tapings and ECW, and another match, I believe, for WWE Superstars is going to be taped tonight. We're going to have live spoilers here, hopefully in hour number 2. Ryan Gray of WrestlingNewsWorld.com is doing the live spoiler play-by-play over on ProWrestlingScoops.com. If you don't want to go over there, we'll give them to you in hour number 2. Hopefully we'll have ECW spoilers by the time we go off the air, and maybe some SmackDown spoilers, probably a few matches into the SmackDown tapings before we go off the air at 9 o'clock on the East Coast tonight. So we'll get to all of that later. We've got a live chat room, lots of people in there. As always, WZROnline.com/chat. WZROnline.com/chat. So get on in there as well. The phone number to call us live, we'll take your phone calls, and hour number 2 is 724-444-7444. Call ID number is 30273, followed by the pound key. I'll give that out again here in hour number 1, and then once again in hour number 2, we'll take your live phone calls and do chat shout-outs, as is the usual, in hour number 2. Judgment Day. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about the Denver fiasco that's going on right now. Boy, this, you know, when I first heard it, I knew it was going to blow up just because, you know, and it goes both ways. The problem with it is this. For those of you that may, I don't know, maybe blind or don't follow the websites, the gist of the story is this. The Denver Nuggets made it to the playoffs, and they are going to play Game 4 at the Pepsi Center next Monday night in Denver, Colorado. WWE's had that same building booked since, I believe it's August 15th, 2008, which is just about a year ahead of time, a couple months under a year, 10 months, 9 months under a year. When this was brought up, it was only brought up to WWE because we didn't know that the Nuggets were going to make the playoffs until late last week. All right, so Vince McMahon, who had the arena, or WWE, who had the arena booked, basically said, hey, wait a second, we have a problem. Or Denver said that they had a problem with the WWE, and Vince said, wait a second, we've had this arena booked for nearly a year now. And the problem here is that you're in the playoffs, all right? And playoff basketball, it's not like you can just, if it was a regular season game, I don't think we would have this problem. We wouldn't have this problem because, first of all, they wouldn't have booked a double event at the same building because the Denver Nuggets schedule or the Colorado Avalanche, whoever would be playing at that arena, they have that schedule lined out and all the games are preset. The problem is when you get to the playoffs, you never know if a game is going to go to a Game 5, Game 6, or Game 7. It happens that the Nuggets series went to Game 7, so they booked this arena, and now we have a problem where we're double booked for the arena. WWE sold about 10,000 tickets. They claim that they expect a sellout. I used to live in Denver, and the Pepsi Center holds almost 20,000 for wrestling, 19,000 and some change for wrestling. And usually they do Monday Night Raw at the Pepsi Center, and then the Tuesday tapings, the ECW and SmackDown, are out at the World Arena in Colorado Springs, Colorado. The problem with that is if you already have 10,000 tickets sold and you expect more to be sold at the Pepsi Center, the World Arena out in Colorado is much, much smaller. It's only about a 7,000 or 8,000 seat arena. That leaves 2,000 or 3,000 people that have already bought tickets for the Pepsi Center for that show, with tickets that they wouldn't be able to honor at the World Arena out in Colorado Springs, just due to the amount of people that arena holds. So that's the basic gist of the story. I don't know, Jose. Let me hear your thoughts on it, and then I'll give you my thoughts. I think it all comes down to who makes more money for the arena in a year's time. WWE, who shows up once a year, or the Denver Nuggets, who run 50 or 60 games in that arena, all with over 10,000 people in attendance. You know what I mean? But then you have your other side of the argument. Well, wait a second. We've had this arena booked for nearly a year, and now you're just kind of throwing us to the curb.
It's the case scenario is like almost like a David and Goliath. You have, David as the WWE, and then Goliath as the NBA/Denver Nuggets. Reality is the NBA commissioner, or spokesperson from the NBA, heavily made it very, very clear that they're not changing the dates for the games. So it clearly
can't.
Say it again?
They can't. They really can't, because it's unfair to the other series, because you have that series and then you have another series, and if they were to start that at a different time, that would screw up everything as far as, okay, if you go to Game 6, the other team goes to Game 4, and they get a sweep, you know what I mean? There's a huge delay there. You know what I'm saying?
No, I completely agree. So reality knew. I mean, they signed the contract. They booked the arena in August. They signed the contract April 15th of this year. Everything was made official, and then of course, like not to go back on what you said, but obviously the Nuggets advanced, and it just put an awkward situation. I don't recall, at least maybe publicly, that WWE has run into a scheduling conflict. There you go. Based on the arena, and WWE normally, it's religiously after WrestleMania, WWE books around this area. Normally then Mohegan Sun, either like 2 or 3 weeks afterwards. Same thing with Bridgeport. So they try to go around the same time period every single year. And having moved Raw now to an undisclosed location, the good thing about it is, if I was Vince and company, you got to do something special. You got to do some sort of, something that would just say, hey, you know what, we got stepped on in Denver, but we're the almighty WWE, and not only are we going to put a show on, but we're going to put on a show that has a major impact in the industry, which I'm hoping to kind of, because again, that's how McMahon works. You push him to a corner, he gets pissed off, he gets upset, and then who benefits? Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but fortunately, us, because sometimes he comes back with some sort of aggressiveness, and I'm hoping to expect that. Just the truth of the matter is, there's arenas, there's the Staples Arena, there's MSG that are actually offering their services to the WWE, which is pretty cool, according to WWE.com, that there's a couple of arenas out there that are offering the services, but they have to go into a city where they have less than 5 days to sell tickets, and either LA...
Well, listen. Let's keep in mind that was on WWE.com, and it's no coincidence. It's no coincidence whatsoever that the Staples Center, the home of the Los Angeles Lakers, has offered their services, right? And it's also no coincidence that Madison Square Garden, of all the arenas around the country, one of the biggest arenas, one of the most famous historic arenas, Madison Square. It's no coincidence that on WWE.com right now you see MSG and the Staples Center. I mean, those two names, if you were to pick any two arenas, the thing that I question is you have live events, okay? You have house shows this weekend, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. On Saturday night, the Raw crew is in Salt Lake City. I would say bring your production trucks there and do a show there. You've already got half of your talent that's going to be in Salt Lake City, that's going to be on the road for the weekend as well. And that Sunday night, the Raw crew is in Loveland, I believe, Loveland, Colorado as well. So you're already in Colorado. You know, my guess is they would either shoot, they would take their production trucks probably most likely to Salt Lake City, because I would expect a good attendance in a city like that. So Saturday night you would run a super show there, not a super show, but the Raw taping with several of the Superstars matches and do it there. Or you could do it on Tuesday, just fly everybody out to Colorado Springs and do it at the World Arena. But then what does that do for the 10,000 or 11,000 people in Denver that have already bought tickets to an event? What do they have to do, cancel on them?
Well, they're going to have to. They're going to probably have to issue a refund, and then Vince has to go and